Hello there. In this video, I'm going to teach you how to think about pricing your new app or software as a service product. One of my clients asked me about this recently because they've released an app and it's out on the Apple App Store and it's out on Google Play. And a few people have already used it for free and they're getting a lot of value out of it. And now the next step is to move on to monetization. So if this is where you are in your product growth, or if this is where you want to be, then watch this video till the end. I'm going to share some frameworks with you, and then right at the end, I'm going to give you 3 questions that will basically help you start researching so you can have your first starting price. So the first thing I want you to know about this is that there is no universal template for app pricing because essentially every single app, well, it's a tool to solve a problem, and some problems are more important than others and some problems are more difficult to solve than others. So like, for example, imagine that you're going to sell like a tool for house building and you need to price that tool. So if you have a screwdriver, that's a tool, but that tool is going to have a very, very different price to say like a power drill. So there is no template for tools. So that's kind of complication number 1. Complication number 2 is specific to the world of technology as it is today. And here, basically, you have to clearly understand what the aim of pricing is for this stage of your business. And I'm going to give you an example. So let's imagine that you have invented a product that you think is going to disrupt an entire industry and that you think is going to turn you into a billionaire. I mean, that would be fabulous. I'm all for it. So in this scenario, about 1,000 people have already used your product and they've used it for free and they love it. And basically your aim right now is to get more users and to scale your technology so then you can reach more people and then eventually scale around the world like Uber or Facebook or something. And basically, what does that mean for you? Right now, in order to go up to the next level, you need to invest in product, and that's going to be hiring more developers, getting more storage from like AWS or Azure, buying new tech tools, upgrading your tech stack, all of that stuff. So basically, you need to invest in product. But you also need to invest in marketing if you're going to scale, because you need people to find out about your product. So you'll probably have to advertise it on Facebook. If it's a consumer app, then you basically have to use the Meta platforms, but that's another video. So basically you will have to invest in marketing, you'll have marketing spend, you'll have marketing people, probably community managers. And if you're thinking, oh my God, this is going to cost a lot of money, you are right. This is serious money. You need serious money to invest in product and marketing. So what are you going to do? Where are you going to get that money? Basically, unless you are already very rich and Logan Roy is your father, then basically you'll have to pitch your idea, your existing app to investors. And basically you'll have to say, okay, people are already loving it for free and we've got this price and that's the price that we are going to go and scale with, so please invest in us. So essentially, venture capitalists, especially in the West Coast of the United States, they expect to invest in companies that are not going to make a profit for a really, really long time. And these venture capitalists, they're interested in outsized returns. That's basically a VC term for saying that they want to invest in companies that are going to become huge global success stories. And those global success stories are going to be sold for billions and billions of dollars, to another company or the stock market, making those venture capitalists super rich and making the founders super rich. That's, basically the story of those are the stories of the founders whom you think of as tech innovators, like Elon Musk and Brian Chesky, all of these people. Anyway, so essentially venture capitalists, they invest to get outsized returns and they invest in companies that are going to scale, and they want to invest in scale, they want to invest in marketing. And so essentially they don't expect those companies to be profitable for a really, really long time. So here's something that might surprise you. Uber, which was founded in 2009, still has not turned a profit. And I'm recording this for you in June 2023, and the company is now a publicly listed business. It is a global business, and it recently said that it hopes to reach profitability soon. So 2009 to 2023, no profitability. Uber's original pricing aim was to get as many people using the service as possible, because this is how they grabbed market share. So whether that strategy was a good one or not, that's another story, because the entrants like Lyft and other kind of companies that ended up basically getting into a price war with Uber, and you never want to be in a price war, but again, another topic, another lesson. What I want you to really see from the Uber example is that if your aim is to raise money from venture capital, your original product price is unlikely to cover your cost from the start. So the VCs are not going to expect you to cover your costs with your price from the start, especially if they're West Coast VCs. This means that if your aim is to raise VC money, having a low price for your product is going to be totally acceptable. You just have to tell the venture capitalist that this is what you're doing and convince them to invest in your product. But that's not the only pricing strategy I want you to think about. Let's look at another scenario. What if you already have an offline business? So for example, let's say you run a fund management company and you already have clients and you're already making money and you have decent profits. So well done, that's you. And basically what you decide to do as a fund manager, you decide to launch an app to bring in a younger clientele, because basically you are mainly working with boomers and this is not a long-term strategy. You want to get more young people on board, so millennials now have money, but millennials are not going to interact with your stuff the way the boomers do. So if you want to reach this younger market, you need to have a digital product. So in this case, let's imagine that you as a fund manager, you decide to make a new fintech app, which is basically an extension of your existing business. In this case, you might not want venture capital money because you might just want to finance it yourself. Also, finance is so regulated that you probably cannot start out right now with multinational ambitions. And really what you want to do is you just want to serve more clients in your existing market. And so let's say, just like in our first example, 1,000 people have downloaded your app for free and some of them are already using it. So you have proven the use case. You can see that this millennial market is using your fintech app and now you want to monetize. So you want to bring it to more people and you also want to start charging. Like in our first example, you will need to invest in product and marketing, but it's going to be at a smaller scale and it's going to be for less time. As I said, you could pay for this yourself. You could also bring in angel investors, but essentially none of you are going to expect this to be afloat on the NASDAQ anytime soon. And that's why the pricing structure for this kind of product is going to be fundamentally different, because your aim is not to get everybody who's got a phone and a pulse to use your app. Your aim is to increase your customer base, but also to reach profitability really, really soon, or at least to cover your costs. And so this means that your early pricing for this route is going to be higher than for the Silicon Valley route, because the business has to be financially sustainable from the start. And also under this model, your product will grow slower because you will not be making the same huge investment in marketing. And so from what I've told you so far, I just really want you to understand that knowing what kind of business you are building and where the money to fund it will come from is a really important determining factor in your price. And I don't want you to think that one is better than the other, because I know there's this glamorization of Silicon Valley, but lots and lots of Silicon Valley funded companies fail and billionaires are not a dime a dozen, right? Like, do any of you remember Clubhouse and how it was all the rage during lockdowns and Andreessen Horowitz invested and it was meant to be like the future of communication? I literally do not know anybody who is using Clubhouse now. And it seems kind of like a bit of a sad place to be, right? So yes, A16Z, Andreessen Horowitz, they funded it, but they're not infallible. And at the same time, there are plenty of successful traditional businesses that have digitized, and this way they've brought in a new customer base, kind of like the fund manager I was telling you about, and this way they've future-proofed their businesses. So basically there are merits and possibilities and opportunities in either model. So here are 3 questions that I promised you, 3 questions I want you to start thinking about for your first starting price for your product. So number 1, think about what services are similar to yours that your target customer is already paying for, and what are those services charging? So that's number 1. Number 2, think broader. What are your customers already paying for to make their lives easier in general? And this doesn't have to be anything to do with competitors. Basically, what are your customers generally paying for to relieve the stresses of life, the stresses of business, to make things more efficient? Have a look at what they're already forking out for. This will really, really help. And then number 3, think about, can you quantify the money that you will help your customers make or save per month? What is that figure? Because essentially, if you're helping them make $100 a month, charging $10 is perfectly reasonable. If you're helping them make $5 a month, charging $10 is going to be a terrible, terrible investment. This is why number 3 is so important. And the answers to the above 3 questions will give you a ballpark that will help you understand what to charge as your first price. So basically just pick a first price, release it and see what happens. And this brings me to my final and super important point. Each price is a test. Release a price, see what the market can bear, see what the results are. You will change your pricing lots and lots of times. You basically just need to pick a price right at the beginning and then start that journey of iteration and discovery. All of the digital products that you're using today, like the apps, the software as a service, Zoom, MailChimp, all of that stuff, they have all changed their prices so many times. And often the price that you see on the website is actually not necessarily the price that is the total price that everybody pays, because people get discounts, people get incentives, and so on and so forth. And it is always the result of experimentation. So use those 3 questions and understand, are you going to go down the Silicon Valley VC route or the self-funded route? And with that information, pick your first price, get it out to people, see what happens, and then iterate. It's going to be interesting. Good luck. And if you liked this video, which I hope you did because you're clearly still watching, then please leave a comment below. I read all the comments and they make me super happy. Or just press like, literally, you just need to use your thumb. It's not very complicated, I'd love that. And follow this channel to get more free tech lessons. Have a wonderful day.